Just a short video now on cities in the Middle East, and some of this applies to much of the Islamic world, even beyond the Middle East by our restricted definition. So urban geography is a whole sub-discipline within academic geography. You can take a course on urban geography here if you want to learn more about cities and city form and city design and history of cities and how they function. And but looking at Islamic cities, let's just consider a couple of things. This is just a random city. This happens to be Latakia in Syria on the Mediterranean Sea. All right, so as you get ready for the map that you're going to make and the narrative, the travel itinerary that'll go along with it, you'll want to be considering, among other things, the largest cities in the Middle East. By far the largest is Baghdad, the capital of Iraq. You can see there's a bunch of cities, 5 of them that are around the same size, each one 3 to 4 million, so that'd be like the Chicago metropolitan area, say. Note where they're located. Several of them clustered in the Levant, like Damascus, Beirut. But the biggest one, Baghdad, right in the middle of Mesopotamia. So in that short reading from Held, the section on some urban themes, they mention rural to urban migration, which is occurring throughout the world, Asia, Latin America, but has been quite strong in this region. Certainly Saudi Arabia is extremely urbanized. Not much nomadism anymore. That used to be a hallmark of certain especially desert tribal ethnic groups in this region. So let's just consider a few traditional things about cities in this region. Irregular street patterns is a big one, right? Lots of little winding streets, many of them very narrow. And notice you can also see courtyards in a lot of these traditional houses. So kind of a on the one hand, you have active community activity, but you also have a kind of a privacy within the homes. Traditional courtyard architecture within homes looks like this. A lot of these are in Syria. The traditional old center cities, the cores of cities in this region, typically include a large mosque, the Friday Mosque, and also several buildings and other infrastructure dedicated to water facilities, public water facilities. But probably most important might be the commercial district, right, which is called bazaar in several languages, but it's a souk in Arabic, a charshi in Turkish. A bazaar is what most English speakers think of these, right? These traditional markets, typically along several important streets in the center of the city. There's the mosque, the cafes, the water facilities, which is less important nowadays, but still very important are these bazaars or souks, the traditional markets along certain streets, often partly covered. Looking at the urban layout of neighborhoods, often in the center of the traditional areas of cities, there are several what they call quarters. That just means a neighborhood that traditionally was the home of some particular ethnic, religious, or linguistic group. But nowadays you have sprawling block after block of these apartment buildings and other modern buildings extending out from the traditional city. But the souk, the bazaar, those old traditional commercial districts are still going pretty strong, as they are in places like Mexico or parts of Asia.